Yo, what's up guys, this is Stylish and this is gonna be the in-game VOD of the 9MinutePush, the updated version. And this is on Othello, because the map of the week this week isn't very suitable for the 9MinutePush strategy. So I decided to do this on a pretty standard map, which Othello is. And this is again played versus a Swedish friend of mine called Special, and I'm sure he will get B+ this season, so he's definitely a pretty good Zerg. I'm not going to talk so much about the build order here because it's an 9MinutePush and you should know how to execute it. And if you don't know it, check out the build order VOD in my thread on teamliquid.net and stylishfbvods. No, not .net, just stylish FB Anyway, what you can see here, when I scout on 11, and then I scout if I can see his overlord coming there, because a Zerg player will generally send his overlord to the closest Terran natural. So if he started down right there in that position, he would scout upwards and not to the left, because he will arrive at my expansion and to the best spot for Overlord if he sent it up there. And if he started to the left, he would send it down. If he started down to the left, he would send it to the right, and so on. So you should know these things and scout accordingly. So when I saw his drone there up to the left, I didn't actually scout his main there because I knew he wasn't gonna be there, because his drone scout was well, if he didn't have a hatchery, he was gonna scout with his drone earlier if he was doing any sort of 9 pull, and he wasn't taking his expansion. So basically I knew that he wasn't starting there, so I didn't have to based on the timing of his drone scout there, I didn't have to scout that main location. So then I found his location actually pretty fast here, and I think I only made one marine. Oh no, I made 2 marines. So my command center is actually like 1 marine delayed, but that isn't really a big of a problem. But one thing that you should know is that unless you scout his 12 hatch, you should keep making marines until you have scouted it. And if you scout it in time, you can cancel marines and then put up the command center as fast as possible. And if you scout him on the last try, I actually suggest that you put your command center on the well, behind your ramp, so you can just float it later on, because it's really risky to do this kind of build versus a 9 pull, especially 9 pull speed. Well, actually, if you encounter a 9 pull, you should just make the barrack and then make a bunker with that SCV, finishing the barrack, putting the bunker in your natural, and then just placing the command center. The supply counts will be a little bit different to the 9MinutePush then, but the order in which you make the buildings will still be the same. Only difference is that you make a bunker in the beginning. So also be sure that if he makes 8 Zerglings, you should have 2 SCVs blocking the ramp, because then he will try a run by, because you will only have like 2 or max 3 marines when he arrives at your base. So if he tries to run by, you have to have those SCVs blocking the ramp there, because he's not going to attack the bunker. Let's see, what's there to talk about here. I think my push actually got delayed this game by about 20 seconds or something like that, but that doesn't really matter. I didn't play like my best here. This was again played on the same night as I played the game Along Us, and I was pretty tired, hungry, whatever, you know, excuses, but I didn't really play that good, so bear with me here. Anyway, it's really important that you keep your scouting SCV alive for as long as possible, so you can see what he's building from his larvas there. For example, here I kept it alive long enough to actually see that he put up a hydraulic stem, but that shouldn't fool you. So keep your SCV alive still, because his lair just finished, and if he places a spire, now will be the time. And I saw he didn't place it in his main, so I scouted his natural, and there I found it. So he's doing a spire build here, I think, because most people won't do Aspire when they're doing Lurker build, because you really need that gas. Well, if he puts down a tech building like in obvious position where your scouting SCV is, then he might be trying to fool you. So beware of that. But also with your scouting SCV, see if he makes Zerglings from those larvas. If you can keep it alive long enough to see that he's not making any Zerglings and you can get your medics up, then there is no problem. Otherwise, you have to be really careful with pulling SCVs and putting the Marines in a good position. So if he decides to charge, just move your Marines back to the ramp and put all the SCVs in front of the Marines, and then you will be able to fight it back. So let's talk a little bit about what this build order is good against. Well, it's actually a standard build order Terran versus Zerg. It's not weak versus Mutalisks. You can change this build order. Instead of making the factory, you can make another barrack, and it will be very good versus 2-hatch. And if it does a 3-hatch Mutalisk, you will have enough Marines and turrets at the correct timing, so there will be no problem there. And also, just before your vessel pops out, you should scan his base and see if he's doing hive. If he's upgrading to hive, or if his Queen's Nest is finished, then you should push out. But if you see that he's not upgrading to hive, then just don't push up. Wait a little bit and make another vessel instead of that second dropship, and then scan again when that vessel is finished. You're gonna have 5 tanks by then and 2 vessels. So also be sure to start upgrade irradiate, and then scan him again. And if he still doesn't have that hive, then just wait for your 2-1 upgrade and move out with a really big push. And at the same time, I would suggest adding 2 bunkers in the natural, because if you're doing this really big push and he's backstabbing you, you can have a little bit of trouble. But usually if you're doing this really big push and he's backstabbing you, you should attack him anyway and not move back, because there will be a timing where you can kill him before his defilers is up. And if his units are in your natural, they're not going to be in his main, of course, or outside his natural, and you're going to be able to kill him. And well, basically kill the defiler mound as well, and he won't be able to fight this big army once you've killed his natural and his main, if he only has 1 expansion. So since you will have three vessels by then, 3 vessels, 7 tanks, and about 35 Marines or something like that, and like 8 medics, it will be like a huge army. And that's the main reason why Zerg players in Korea aim to upgrade tech to hive rather fast, because if you don't, the Terran player is just going to do this, and then they're just going to run you over. So it's a really good strategy versus all those different strategies that a Zerg player can do. So that's why I suggest that this should be your standard build order. I actually tried to play with the we call it the Artosis strategy in Team Liquid, but the other kind of standard Terran versus Zerg, where you place 3 racks before your factory to be strong in the early mid game and take out his 3rd expansion, but that didn't really work out that well for me. Well, it worked out, but I didn't feel comfortable playing that style. So I don't know, I'm gonna work a little bit more on playing that style, and then I might do a VOD about that. Anyway, as you can see here, I scan him and I see that he's actually doing the hive. So after the first vessel, I'm making a dropship, and then I'm just making sure that I will have 7 Marines and 1 medic ready for that dropship when it pops out, and then I will drop his main and attack his natural at the same time. And by now I'm almost certain that he has a 3rd expansion somewhere, and on Othello actually many people tend to take that 3rd expansion right outside their natural, and that will be very good for me if I do this strong kind of push, because then I'll be able to snipe that on my way to his natural. So as I said earlier, I didn't really play that well. I do some micro fuck-ups, but it's nothing big, and overall it's a pretty decent game anyway. So what you can see here is I'm being very cautious with my tanks and my vessel here, because I actually don't want him to engage until my dropship is unloading in his main, because I want him to split up his units so I can kill his flank and also drop his main at the same time, because the Zerg player can't have all his units at one place here, because then he's gonna die. He really needs to defend that dropship, because even if he kills my push here, I'm gonna do a lot of damage in his main, and I'm gonna have 2-1 upgrade units. I'm gonna have 2 starports and a lot of barracks and I'm gonna be able to come back even if I die my army here. But usually that army is gonna be strong enough anyway. So as you can see here, I didn't dematrix my dropship. You don't have to dematrix your dropship. Sometimes it's better to dematrix the tank. In this case, he was gonna do a big flank on my army, and then it's better to just save that dematrix to dematrix a tank. And if you do that, you're gonna be in a really good position. So as you can see here, I saw that he pulled away his lurkers to actually save his main, and then I just sneak in here, kill all his drone, and just try to snipe that hatchery, because if I can snipe that hatchery, I've already sniped his spawning pool and his defiler, then he's gonna be pretty much dead. One thing that I didn't notice this game was actually that he had tech towards Greater Spire, so I was really not aware of this. You should actually scan the spire, of course, once the hive is finished. But I forgot to do this, and that is really bad. So I actually wasted like one or two. As you can see here, I waste one irradiate here on a lurker, and that's really bad when he's going guardians, because I really needed that irradiate on those guardians. But it was good play from him. I was really unaware of that. If I had seen it, I would definitely not have irradiated any lurkers, and maybe not even dematrix the tank. But well, anyway, as you can see here, this little micro is what I told you about in the Terran versus Zerg general tip about how you move forward with marines and then move them back when the lurkers have burrowed. So the tanks are still in the position to shoot the lurkers, but the lurkers cannot kill the marines anymore. That's really good to do when you micro against the lurkerling. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this game. It was rather short, but most of the 9-minute push games are this short because they're really that good. Well, I'm gonna do a freestyle VOD now. Well, first I'm gonna sleep because it's really late here. I stayed up to watch Lekaf Oz versus KTF, and oh my god, you have to see that. So see you later.